If you're not familiar with this site, it's a great site, forexfactory.com. You go to the calendar, you just hit /calendar. So if you ever see people talking about CPI, they're talking about FOMC, and you want to know what the fuck does any of that shit mean, you know? This site will tell you. What it will do is it will tell you all of the major economic events for the week. It will also tell you their level of impact and the forecast, what it was previously. It will give you a bit of detail on them as well. If you're trading any sort of FX or you're trading, futures, you're trading equities, things like that, you definitely want to pay attention because it will tell you the currency that may be involved. So if we look tomorrow here, we have CPI. So red folder means high impact, yellow folder, low impact, orange folder, I think is medium impact. So CPI is high impact event. We also have FOMC tomorrow. So we've got the double whammy, and then we've got core PPI on Thursday. These are all high impact news events that affect the US dollar. So generally, they're going to have an effect on the equities market. Generally, they're going to have an effect on crypto. And the more, at least what I've noticed of late, is that crypto is starting to trade and behave and react to macroeconomic events and news than it did previously. So you want to pay attention to this. So at 8:30 a.m., so this is Eastern Standard Time, we'll have the CPI announcement, okay? So the forecast is 3.4% for year over year, 0.1% for the month to month. And you can read in here, right? So what it actually comes out to, if it's greater than the forecast, that's good for the currency, which would mean dollar bullish. And then you can see FOMC here. This is when they talk about the rates. This is everyone's favorite guy, Jerome Powell. So the dream scenario for crypto and for risk assets in general is a rate cut. The likelihood of a rate cut, you can see here. Here's the last handful of CPIs we've had here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've had 7 in a row without a cut. And literally a year ago, we had the last rise. So June of last year, we went up 0.25%, 25 basis points, and we've been there for a year now. So they've talked about cuts coming, Powell potentially being dovish on the economy, but it doesn't mean that they're going to cut rates. And they might be pricing in that one rate cut he's discussed. It doesn't necessarily have to happen tomorrow. And it could already be priced in. Stock's already at all-time high. So good website to use if you want to add a little bit of a macro analysis to your trading, or you just want to be aware of what's going on. That's a good website to check out. A lot of mixed signals on the feed. So we've got a new mini main character arc. We've actually had kind of a few things happen. So we've got Ansem. So he's flipped bearish. He got bearish at the range highs. He thinks we're trading back to the range lows. So he thinks we're going to about 60K. Capo, whatever the fuck you want to call him, he's big bull. He thinks we're going to 74K. And then we have a new character in the arena, Zoran. He's Giga Bear. He thinks we're going to 44,000. So there's some mixed signals on CT, right? So we have Solana GCR. We have retarded GCR. And we have, I don't know, Serbian GCR or the moon. Let's call him Moon GCR, because he says it's in the stars and moon. The moons and stars GCR. But you guys aren't here to hear about them. You're here to hear from NEC GCR. So I'm of the mindset that the range is the range until it's not the range anymore. It's that simple. So we've been in this trading range for months now. The entire spring, we're now into summer. We traded to the high, we trade back to the low. So when we were trading here, I thought, remember my last stream was during this down leg. I thought we would get support here, right? We had the sweep, we had mid-range, we had the order block here, we had the sweep here. I thought we might trade up to the range high. We failed. We ran this high. We put in H12 sweeps. This becomes your breaker. When we sold off here and we broke market structure, I was expecting this to pull back into here and then to sell off to here and potentially down to here. And that was my plan, and I had short triggers set. I initially wanted to short a bounce here from this consolidation up into this breaker, and maybe we would get, a move up and then a sweep to short. We didn't. It was very shallow. So to me, that just showed you price was weak. When we put in this H12 SFP, I said, okay, I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to now look for a short right here. Break down, maybe get a retest. We end up sweeping. We tagged this H12 breaker and we just puked. There was no retest here to get in on the short, unfortunately. Came down. We tested the mid-range. We ran out a bunch of lows. So we've taken out this low, we've taken out this low. We haven't run this liquidity yet. So where I'm at right now is I'm hoping for a bounce up into this consolidation. And to be honest with you, I would probably look to short any sort of move up there and target lower. So I think that there's a good chance this can go lower still, but I'm hoping this SFP is enough to give us a bounce of a couple $1,000 maybe going into tomorrow. Equities are at all-time highs again. Maybe Powell's super dovish tomorrow. I don't really know, but it's going to be an early morning for me. So I think we're going to come up into here ideally, but the first obstacle for Bitcoin really is this monthly open. So if you look, Zoran tweeted, he's like, I'm adding to shorts here, which is a fair play, right? We ran the lows, he's adding at the monthly open. So if you're visualizing the monthly candle here, this would be the monthly candle so far. You have your wick, right? You have your open. We've traded up, and now we're trading back below the open. So there's an argument to be made. It's already June 11th. Zoran's argument, and anyone who's bearish's argument, is that this is the monthly high. This is the monthly wick that we've already put in, and we're now trading back below the open. So a very clear level to get bullish over is this monthly open. This is going to be a key level that the bulls are going to need to reclaim, not necessarily just to go to all-time high or anything, even just to get some sort of decent bounce. We've got to reclaim the monthly open. It's obviously a key level. You can see this entire little bounce that we've had this afternoon to the dollar, basically. What's the high there? 67,547.8. The monthly open 67,555.8. So it's like right into it. Basically, we're rejecting. So we're going to need to see that level reclaimed for any sort of bullishness. Now, originally I wanted to short this, and I also mapped out WIF because WIF looked really weak, and it actually printed, a really great short setup here, right? So you had your H12 breaker here, SFP came up into it, put in a sweep, gave you the MSB, gave you the retest. So WIF was a good short. However, I still liked Ethereum's setup on the high time frame. So if you remember, I posted this on Twitter. I was like, hey, I want to long this weekly breaker, basically, right? So we have a weekly MSB, we have our weekly breaker, we have a retest here, we have these H12 lows getting run. So we ran this low. So I started longing here, and then I longed a shit ton more here. So my average right now is like 35, 20 something, 22 or some shit like that. So I'm underwater now on this long. But basically the idea is, this is a breakout and retest of a weekly breaker, and we'll bounce. Now, obviously, I would have liked us to not just instantly nuke through the entire zone and for me to long so early and be stuck underwater, but it is what it is. So I'm in this trade right now. I'm long Ethereum based on this weekly breaker. My stop is not a hard stop. If we get a daily close below 3,500, I'll probably cut. Ideally, I'd like to see the daily close above 3,520, but that's, another percent bounce from where we are here. I'd love this to close as an SFP. I don't know if it will. So I might have fucked myself, to be honest with you, by not... Originally, I told myself if Bitcoin broke down, I wasn't going to long Ethereum. Ended up doing it anyways. We'll see if it works out. But I would like this to close way more bullish on Ethereum's side. So Bitcoin itself is looking like it's going to close okay. Like if Bitcoin closes above, this low here, that looks like a decent close for a bounce. And you could even go in now and argue that, hey, we've got a H1 breaker here forming on Bitcoin, and this will give us the juice for a little bit of a move up, but it's got to reclaim this. Ethereum looks a little bit uglier. The bulls really got to step in. I would really like this to close back above this wick on the daily. I don't know if we're going to get that lucky. My kind of stop in my mind was a daily close below 3,500. I would cut the trade. So I've got a couple hours left to monitor this and to see what happens. FBTC, I'm like, okay, we're pulling back into this breaker here, right? I'm hoping that this provides support here. Swept the high, right? But it's got to find some support in here, and F's got to start going. So the bulls need to step in here. Bitcoin can still trade down to here and be fine. So as long as Bitcoin is within the range, I'm not really worried. Could Zoran be right? And could we go to, sub 50, down into the 40s? Sure. But to me, that's fucking horrific and a really, really ugly scenario that I don't really foresee happening. So as much as I think that we can retest the range lows again, or 63K, I don't really see us going lower than that. If we lose 60K, I think that's very worrisome. But yeah, we'll see. Bitcoin significantly stronger than the rest of the assets right now. Like if you look at Bitcoin, this can come back to here, still just look like a pretty healthy retest before going higher. It can come back to the range low, tag the range low, and then still go higher. Whereas a lot of altcoins are at or below their range lows, or already breaking high time frame market structure. So it's a little bit more worrisome. If you look at the ETF flows, the huge inflow day, almost $1 billion, June 4th, right here, right at the top. Guess what happened here? This was the biggest outflow day we had. So this is 1 billion, let's just call it 1 billion. We're rounding up. What's 100 million when you're dealing with a billion? 1 billion inflows was the top. 1 billion inflows here was the top. I think here we had about 500 million outflow. I'd be curious what we had here if it was a large amount of inflows. So that begs the question, one, are the institutional investors, right? Like the people buying these ETFs, are they retarded? Definitely possible. It's their first cycle, bro. Maybe they're just fucking retards and they're buying high and they're selling low. Or is tracking the inflows and outflows as bullish and bearish not really a worthwhile metric? Because in fact, it's the opposite of what you would think. Right? The inflows, huge inflows end up being the top, huge outflows end up being the bottom. And perhaps we don't understand exactly what is going on in these ETFs. And what I mean by that is $1 billion of inflow when we had 886 million inflows? That does not mean there was $886 million of buying spot Bitcoin. And when we had 500 million in outflows, that was not $500 million of spot Bitcoin being sold. It's money flowing in and out of the ETF. It's not necessarily a 1-for-1. I think a lot of people think $1 of inflow equals $1 of buying. And I'm almost certain that that is not the case, but each basket is different. And if someone has the time and wants to read and figure out exactly that answer, I think it would be useful information. But yeah, man, that's kind of where we're at. Like, I think Bitcoin structurally still looks a lot better than a lot of altcoins because, we can go up from here, right? Mid-range tag. We can go up from here. We can get one more dump, go from here, right? We can get one more dump and go from here. Whereas a lot of these altcoins look significantly worse. You look at Solana here, we've got a clear rejection happening right there from the order block. And like Solana to me looks like it wants to trade down to here. That's another 20% lower than where we are right now. These wicks, that's where this looks like it's going. So how are your Solana meme coins going to do if we take out 130 or if we take out fucking 120? Because Bitcoin can pull back to 63K, still look like a higher low, and Solana is going to be trading 20% lower. That's the scary part, I guess, for altcoins specifically, is if Bitcoin's going to drift lower, a lot of these altcoins look like they can puke 10-20% like that. Need to see the bulls step the fuck in. A lot of the alts, like I said, look a lot sketchier than Bitcoin does. I think Bitcoin can dump further and still look pretty good. If you're not in a position on Ethereum, like let's say I get stopped out of this, I'm longing down here or I'm longing on a breakout of this. Like those are the if you don't know what to do on Ethereum, you long as close to 3,000 as possible, or you just wait for us to break 4,100. Because when we break 4,100, I think it sends hard. So you can just kind of be patient and play that breakout or wait for the range lows. Dollar, what I'm hoping happens here is this, right? So I'm hoping the dollar pulls back into this breaker here, down into here. This gives Bitcoin the bounce that I need to get out of my positions without losing my ass. And then I do think dollar trades higher. It could go back down to the mid-range here, but I think this is a very potentially likely scenario. And if something like this plays out, Bitcoin will go down. You look at equities, I've been wanting to short this. I haven't yet. I've been stalking it. I'm like, oh, it's sweeping the highs, but boom, it's at all-time high again. Fresh high. I do think that this thing's due for a pullback towards like 5,200, but this is what we want the Bitcoin chart to look like, right? Start off the day red, fucking Dalai Lama to new high. Instead, Bitcoin's off the day red and doing this. So Bitcoin gay. Equities, not gay. Breakout props going amazing, man. Buy some fucking accounts right now. Log off this stream, go to www.breakoutprop.com and buy our biggest account. Buy 10 10 of them right now. Fucking do it. It's a little dicey. It's a little dicey McSpicy. Haven't been gay since we passed 30K, baby. I just lost millions of dollars on FTX. We're at 15K Bitcoin, and I said, I'm not fucking leaving, am I? I said, I'm seeing you guys through to a new all-time high. And look at us now. Still poor, but not gay. We really made it. I'm not a financial advisor. My altcoins are in Spain without the S. The media and the fucking Matrix. I know about the Matrix. You think snakes look at each other and go, well, that snake's scales are different than mine, so like he's not a fucking snake? Like, they're fucking snakes. They don't think about that fucking shit. They're trying to eat and survive and fucking shed their skin and bite people. Are you Australian or British? Are you retarded? I mean, how the fuck am I supposed to know? Let me just call him up. Hello, sir. Okay, I'll report that back. He said he has no fucking idea. Yoink Master 420, that is quite the name, says, if I was a snake, I would wrap myself around your neck. No homo. I appreciate you clarifying the no homo. Thank you. Do you think I look down on people who have regular size skinny necks? Do I just like mog them with my thick ass neck and I think of them as less than? The answer is yes. Neck, acting ability, huge cock, triple threat. Bro, are you Shakespeare? I'm Shakespeare as much as how you spelt Shakespeare. I have a huge box, and everyone's like, the box is so big. Fuck you, Trader Main. And then boom, box protect. Do you think the biggest problem for people failing in trading is risk management? Yeah.